I found my cheating wife hiding out at a secret hotel. She was stunned when I handed her divorce papers right there in the lobby. Can you imagine finding out your spouse, the person you swore forever to, was having a 2-year affair, then catching them red-handed and serving them divorce papers right there in a hotel lobby? It was a moment that ripped my world apart, but it was also the start of a journey I never expected to take. Hey everyone, so this is my story. It's been a wild, painful, and ultimately a transformative ride. My ex-wife, then my wife, is 40 and I'm 43. We were married for 16 years and have 2 incredible kids, a 14-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. Our early years were tough. We married young, definitely still had some growing up to do, but we worked through it, or so I thought. We built a good life, both of us with successful careers that gave our family everything we needed. We were close, always making sure our kids had amazing memories. And honestly, I thought I was a pretty decent husband and dad. I messed up sometimes, sure, but I genuinely did everything for her. That's why it shook me to my absolute core to learn she'd been having a long-term affair. The truth is, things had felt off for about 2 years before I found out. She was distant, constantly criticizing me and always comparing me to her boss. Her boss would do this. Her boss handles that. It was maddening. I remember asking her, "How do you want me to liven up our marriage?" And her usual response? "Don't ask. You need to already know and do it." Well, I didn't know. So I bought books, I researched, I tried everything. But every attempt was met with a half-hearted thanks or bitter disappointment. She just wasn't the woman I married. I truly believed I was failing her, that I needed to fix things. Little did I know, someone else was already fixing things for her. The irony? Her boss, the guy she was cheating with, was someone we were close to. His wife and kids were practically family. We went on trips together, barbecues, arcade days. They were at our house constantly, we were at theirs. When I confided in him about our marriage struggles, he even offered wise counsel. What a sick joke that was. The emotional toll of her constant demands for me to be better was crushing. Then, one night, I saw her giggling while messaging someone. I was lying right next to her in bed. The second I leaned over to look, she violently pushed me away. "What are you doing?" she snapped. When I told her I just wanted to know what was so funny, she shot back, "It's none of your business." That was the moment. Deep down I knew. There was an affair. I just didn't have proof. The next day, I confronted her, probably a mistake. She went ballistic, claimed innocence. I wanted the truth so badly. I asked for her phone. Hesitantly, she gave it to me. But later that night, she deleted almost every text to certain people. I could tell the conversations looked completely nonsensical. I gave it back and we didn't speak about it for a month. But I wasn't done. I got a friend to help me retrieve the deleted texts. It turned out she'd gotten a new phone, rarely used the old one. Bit by bit, the evidence emerged. And yep, you guessed it, her supervisor. I held on to the information. I knew if I confronted her then, she'd just wiggle out of it. But I was a wreck. My only thought was how this would impact the kids. I broke down, crying in front of my friend. Still, I wasn't ready to give up on my marriage. I ordered a book, How to Help Your Spouse Heal from an Affair. I truly believed if I showed her I was willing to fight for us, she'd stop. Then came the weekend. She said she had an emergency at work, and I shouldn't wait up. I called her office. Closed on Saturdays. No answer from her phone. She finally got home at 2 a.m. on Sunday, showered, and went straight to bed. When I asked where she'd been, she dodged the question. I left the book I bought on her bedside table. She didn't care. She saw me in agony, and she just didn't care. I was desperate, so I called his wife. I still don't regret it. The truth startled her as much as it did me. She wanted to confront her husband, but I warned her he'd lie, just like my wife did. We met, compared what little evidence we had. She needed more proof, and so did I. We decided to gather more information, separately, then compare. She found irrefutable evidence quickly. Her husband was so arrogant, he didn't even bother deleting the texts with my wife. All those small notes I'd found earlier, the pieces finally clicked. 2 years. 2 years this had been going on. Rage. Pure, unadulterated rage. We both wanted retribution. They'd slept everywhere. Our homes, fancy hotels, on business trips. It made my stomach turn. We saw pictures, too, but decided not to dwell on those. We didn't want to hurt ourselves further. We both resolved that if they wanted each other so badly, they could have each other. We gathered our divorce papers. We were dead set. We played our parts, acting like nothing was wrong. Our ducks were in a row. Working with his wife, we knew exactly where they'd be. The motel they'd booked for their romantic weekend. I showed up with the sheriff. While he arranged everything, I waited in the lobby. My wife was called down. She walked out of the elevator in a bathrobe, nothing else. Her face, when she saw me, terrified. "What are you doing here?" she shrieked. The sheriff confirmed her name and details. She ambiguously affirmed. And then she was served. Seeing that startled expression was incredibly fulfilling. I turned to leave, not wanting a scene, but she grabbed my arm. "What does this mean?" she demanded. "You had an affair," I told her. "And I'm leaving you." Simple. Direct. She started shouting, grabbed my arm tightly. The sheriff had to intervene, ordering her to release me. She cried, claiming I had the wrong idea, that it was my fault. I left quickly. I was getting too enraged. Her boss got served shortly after. He apparently freaked, ran home, and found his own papers waiting. We blindsided them completely, just as they had blindsided us. My divorce would be final in a few months, but both my wife and her supervisor fought it. They claimed they never meant to leave their spouses, that it was only sexual, that people have worse indiscretions and still come out with a fantastic marriage. What do you suppose the result of all this is? I asked her. She said she was not that person anymore, that she was following the flow and behaved totally against nature. I told her she was amoral. Others called me horrible for not giving her another chance, wanting us to stay together. My children, however, understood age appropriately, and they backed me 100%. We were still in the same house, and her constant efforts were weakening my resolve. She started reading the book I bought. She went to therapy. It was hard to stay firm. She claimed to be sorry and promised to do anything. But I knew. She was only sorry she got caught. She even called me a sour, angry person. She apologized for it later, but I knew that's how she truly felt. I continued speaking with his wife, and my wife absolutely detested it. She believed his wife was the reason I wouldn't give her another chance. She even accused me of planning a vengeance affair. "You're nuts," I told her. "We did nothing illegal. Why should I accept your warped point of view?" Honestly, I had lost all respect for her. She kept trying, suggesting therapy together, reading books on infidelity. "What's the point?" I asked. "We're divorcing." She even suggested I sleep with other women to get my mojo back in a trial separation. Her desperation was astounding. I shot down every idea. My mother and others around me were annoyed, saying mistakes happen, and she understands her errors. But I refused to be anyone's backup plan. Treating her the way I did made me feel guilty, but despite the hate, a part of me still loved her. Was I being too cruel? Should I slow down? People said I'd regret it. I decided to talk to my wife. After reading everyone's advice, I knew divorce was the best path for my children and me. A few months later, I'm back with an update. My wife and I are in a decent state, but no, we're not reconciling. I'm still divorcing her. She's still clinging to hope, doing everything to win me back, but I won't give it to her. A 2-year affair? That's not a mistake, it's a slap in the face. It's too long for me to ever recover from. I still loved her, and I'm not a monster, so I went to a few therapy sessions with her. One was great. It showed me she genuinely regretted it. She had been trying hard. But she wasn't flawless. Her anger at me for contacting the boss's wife and her fear of a vengeance affair led to a disastrous second session. We argued fiercely because I refused to cut off contact. I told her there'd be no vengeance affair, but I still owed her nothing. I kept going to sessions, just to observe her progress, to help if needed. I knew I'd step away gracefully after the divorce. The boss's wife is still leaving her husband too. He's fighting it just as my wife did. She's as strong as I am. We're cordial. There's no affair between us, just mutual support. My children are doing well. They understand that our love for them hasn't changed because of the divorce. They don't want it, but they see why it's necessary. My ex-wife left the advertising company and works elsewhere now. She claims zero contact with her former supervisor. Watching my wife work so hard to be a better person, I started to understand why people stay with cheaters. She's not a monster, just flawed, and she made terrible decisions. She even offered a post-nup, begging for a chance after the divorce. But honestly, it felt like a momentary pursuit of justice. I want this divorce without compromising myself. It's the only justice I can get. My mother, who had been annoyed with me, changed her tune after hearing the full specifics of the affair. She's furious with my wife now. Still, the fear of a vengeance affair lingered with my ex. She was terrified because I still saw and contacted the other betrayed partner, the boss's wife. My ex-wife's insecurity about her was palpable. The nerve of her trying to lecture me about 2 wrongs don't make a right. She wasn't wrong, of course, and I never intended to cheat. But her hypocrisy, it was infuriating. Every time I visited the other betrayed partner, my wife became depressed or overly clingy, throwing herself at me. I rejected her advances every time, which only made things worse. It highlighted how selfish cheaters are, only thinking of their own suffering. The kids still saw each other, and I never went to the other betrayed partner's house without them. But my wife saw every interaction as a chance for me to be as merciless as she was. It was laughable. Her exploitative ex-boss, the OM, was still residing in their vacation house, begging his ex-wife to take him back. Seeing him suffer brought me a twisted sense of satisfaction. My wife had been contrite, lavishing me with love which I just pushed aside. My anger was still too raw. During one therapy session, my wife asked for more time to win me back. She had a million reasons why we should try. I pointed out her main motivation was the fallout from her affair. If she was still seeing the OM, she wouldn't be trying this hard. She had emotionally mistreated me for months, and I wasn't going to be walked all over. She owned her mistakes, apologized again. She promised to make it up to me. She believes our marriage can be stronger than ever. I asked if she was ready to tolerate my wrath. Absolutely, she said. She wanted me to dump all my grief and anger on her. This time, when I asked why she cheated, she was honest. No justification. She would spend every day demonstrating her regret. She was insecure, envious of the other betrayed partner. The affair inflated her ego, made her feel beautiful and wanted. It was a fantasy. She admitted she'd never forgive herself. She couldn't hold a candle to the other betrayed spouse, who was not only gorgeous but had integrity. This woman never threatened or behaved meanly towards my ex. It was all my wife's fears. The therapist asked what it would take for me to consider my wife's offer. My honest answer? A time machine. What I had was a fake marriage. The therapist suggested my inability to listen to logical arguments was a communication issue. I bit my tongue. On the way home, my wife asked if her affair had made me feel emasculated. It caught me off guard. Sure, I said. Then she asked if sleeping with another woman would make me feel better. She meant a trial separation where I could get my mojo back and she'd wait. I flat out rejected it. It felt insane, out of character for her. For weeks, she was quiet, patient, nothing like the insecure woman I knew. It was hard not to trust her. She was incredibly giving in the divorce proceedings, even though she didn't want it. She even seemed to realize what she lost. I saw her desperation. Sometimes I even hated myself for not being more responsive. Why couldn't I see this as a good thing? Why couldn't I criticize her now for her actions? Many people reconcile and come out stronger. Why was I letting my feelings rule my decisions? Would someone else get the upgraded version of her? But I stood firm. I would not tolerate disrespect. I had woken up. I spent Christmas with my family, then moved away from my wife. I resolved to stop listening to the garbage in my head. No second chances. We were done for good. My wife wasn't a villain, but she deserved happiness, just not with me. I called the other betrayed partner. I invited her to dinner after the holidays. She'd really like that, she said. We had truly helped each other through this, and I owed her thanks. For years, my feelings had been so twisted. The idea of another woman hadn't even crossed my mind. And dinner, I told myself, was just dinner. But as the divorce drew closer, I saw I had choices. The divorce was finalized around 3 weeks later. For days, I mourned as if I'd lost a loved one. The spectacular failure of my marriage hit me hard. I cried more than I had since the affair began. I railed, probably hitting my lowest point. Everything was set up for my ex, partially by me for the kid's sake. She left the house, downsizing to an apartment which made her depressed. She still went to therapy, still researching infidelity. We had long chats before and after the divorce. She's the mother of my children, so we needed to be decent co-parents. It was the same song. She wanted to reconcile, but I knew it would be too dangerous to put myself in that position again. That weekend, I went to dinner with the other betrayed partner, solely for companionship. We covered a lot of ground. Things grew flirtatious. I was hesitant, but the evening ended with quite fervent intensity. It was likely the most amazing sex I'd ever experienced. She was such a giver, spades above my ex. I hadn't intended it to go that far, but she was eager, and I learned quite a few new tricks. It was the first time someone was eager to satisfy me. She had divorced her ex, so I guess I shouldn't call her the other betrayed spouse anymore, but for privacy I will. I don't see us advancing our relationship beyond that evening. Perhaps the hormones and booze got the best of us, but it helped me arrange myself emotionally. I felt terrific. It helped with my remaining self-esteem issues. I finally knew what I was missing. I wouldn't accept artificial sex again. Knowing I hadn't lost my morals and wasn't cheating made me more fulfilled. I was proud of how I handled this mess. I lost money, yes, but I came out lucky because I was ready to listen to those with knowledge, not just mindlessly wish for the best. Years passed. My girlfriend is still the other betrayed partner. We are actually amazing. I've never had a closer bond with any woman. I had no idea what a good relationship even looked like after my ex-wife put me through the grind. My girlfriend is an incredible friend and has supported me through everything. I love her quite a bit, and she's shown me, time and time again, how much I mean to her. Regarding the kids, their start was difficult, but now they get along beautifully. I think it's because we're so involved in their lives, ensuring they always have someone to talk to, plus lots of therapy. My daughter and son adore my girlfriend. She interacts with children, so naturally, her kids enjoy me much more than they did 2 years ago. Her youngest started calling me stepdad. I was scared she felt forced, but when she told me she loved me and I made her mom happy, so she was happy I was her stepdad, I got so emotional. It felt like a ton of bricks lifted. My unfaithful ex-wife and I get along pretty well. She worked incredibly hard to mend her relationship with our daughter. I was so pleased when our daughter told me she could find it in her heart to forgive her mother. They've gone through a lot and grown beautifully together. Still, I doubt my ex-wife has completely embraced our new life. She still seems to seek or imply a second try. She goes to individual therapy, works out, looks healthier, but I don't really care. She should be happy to. She talks more with my girlfriend now, who reciprocates but rightly views her with mistrust. The OM, her ex-boss, is a lost cause. He has a girlfriend, but his children hate her. He's a disaster. All that money and no brains. His girlfriend is cruel and materialistic. So here we are. It's not a happily ever after in the storybook sense, but it's right. I've learned that you never tolerate disrespect, not even from those closest to you. Everyone deserves a happy, committed relationship. Don't accept leftovers. If your partner isn't giving you their all, or if your sexual life isn't fulfilling, communicate that. You can walk away from that without trouble. And if you're ever betrayed, only you can truly recover. It took me a long time to grasp that. This journey has taught me resilience, self-worth, and that true happiness comes from within, not from compromising your respect. Have you ever faced a betrayal that forced you to rebuild your life from scratch? What was the hardest part of finding your own kind of happiness after that? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you.